For any of the Jaland Lowe doubters out there, Mark Pope has made it pretty clear that not only is he improving, but he's improving dramatically.
You are Locked On Kentucky, your daily podcast on the Kentucky Wildcats, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, what's going on, Big Blue Nation? Welcome on into Locked On Kentucky, your daily Kentucky Wildcats podcast. I'm your host, Lance Dawe, and on today's episode of Locked On Kentucky, we're going to talk about Jaland Lowe improving as a shooter, because according to head coach Mark Pope, he has been putting in work this offseason. And he's not just shooting okay, he's shooting very, very well, which is a great sign for Kentucky. And speaking of shooters, Kam Williams working out with Steph Curry. What does it mean for Williams? What does it mean for this Kentucky roster as a whole? I think we shouldn't be as worried about shooting right now as maybe some are when it comes to whether or not Kentucky can continue what they did last season on offense. And then to wrap up the show, we've got two positive bits of news, I should say, about Jayden Quaintance, and then Andrija Jelavic. Jelavic is here, and JQ, I mean, I've been continuing to tell you guys, some of you don't believe that he's going to be ready by Kentucky's first game, just based on the way that he's looking. I think that he's going to be absolutely ready to go. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. You can download the Game Time app. You can create an account. You can use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Thank you guys so much for making Locked On Kentucky your first listen every single day. Want to remind everyone out there that we are free and available on all platforms. If you're watching on YouTube, would love it if you subscribe to the show. And if you are listening on podcast, I would also appreciate it if you subscribed there as well. Let's go ahead and get into it. So, Jaland Lowe, noted poor shooter a season ago at Pittsburgh, shot just 26.6% from beyond the arc on 154 attempts as a sophomore point guard. He has been playing very, very well, according to insiders and according to head coach Mark Pope. During this summer, during practices, during exercises, he has been really stepping it up, specifically on the offensive end. He talked with Matt Norlander, Pope did, of CBS Sports, about how he's got a beautiful skill set. He's a really good leader. He can get to wherever he wants to on the floor. He's a great ball handler. But it's the shooting that's been a concern for Kentucky fans, and then I guess for Mark Pope as well, as to whether or not Lowe can take a jump in efficiency, much like point guard Lamont Butler did a season ago after transferring over from San Diego State. We've kind of beaten that argument to death here on the show. I'm not here to look at Butler stats and to kind of give you an idea as to what these guys could look like numbers-wise, or Lowe could look like after taking a jump, so to speak. There's also the opportunity for him to either stay the same or get worse. But what I can tell you is a direct quote from Mark Pope to Matt Norlander. Here it is. He was our leading three-point field goal percentage shooter in 5-on-5 competition this summer, just right under 42%. We're incredibly excited about what we believe he's going to do in terms of efficiency this summer. We think he's going to take a massive jump. He's been special for us. I just want to sit here and tell you, if Kentucky's lead point guard is shooting 41% from three, just under 42% from three, they're going to be in pretty good hands. Why is that the case? Well, we don't exactly know how the offense is going to look this season. We can hear, again, from insiders, from what Pope wants to say about how this might be a more downhill team, about how they may be more focused on attacking the rim. We don't know how different players are going to be utilized, because so many of these guys were either big-time stars at their future or at their previous locations, or maybe you've got some freshmen coming in like Jasper who are 5 stars that are going to be pure scorers, that are going to shoot the ball. How much are they going to actually get involved? We don't actually know how everything's going to work out yet. Lowe is an interesting case because of the fact that he was so ball dominant at Pittsburgh. And what I mean by that is it wasn't necessarily just the ball handling and the distribution and being involved in all these different plays. It was the shooting. He shot, again, like I mentioned, 154 three-point attempts. He shot 288 inside the arc. He was this offensive hub for the Pittsburgh Panthers, who did not have the season that they wanted to during ACC play, but still Lowe at times was really good in terms of creating his own opportunities while also being a great point guard. But it was just it was the shot chucking. It was the ability to go out there and just put up shot after shot after shot after shot for this Pittsburgh team that relied on Lowe to do so. Will he do that again at Kentucky? Will he carry not necessarily, in a insane jump in efficiency, but will he continue to carry that sort of volume? Because if he is, then you sort of have to get into the conversation of, okay, if these are the shots that Kentucky is trying to create with their offense, with Lowe being the guy primarily taking them, or taking a large chunk of them, I should say, how efficient can he actually be? Can he step up to that 41% range? Can he step up past 35%, which is what he was shooting during his freshman year? All I know is that if he is able to take his volume, maybe take it down just a little bit, maybe hover around the same spot, and still be shooting 42% from three, Kentucky's offense is going to do insane numbers. Because if he is that good of a shooter as one of the lead distributors on the offense, it's going to open the door for a lot of different things as far as what Kentucky wants to do from beyond the perimeter. A lot of conversations about whether or not, again, Kentucky's going to look a little different stylistically, as to whether or not they'll be more athletic, as to whether or not they're going to be more physical at the rim, attacking it, scoring there, etc. Guys like Jaland Lowe, if they truly are taking that jump in efficiency, and look, he could take a jump in efficiency from 26.6% to 35% like he was shooting during his freshman year, and even that would be huge for Kentucky's offense. Huge for Kentucky's offense. Is he as ball dominant as he was at Pitt? Is he shooting as much as he was at Pitt? How are the pieces around Jaland Lowe going to be involved night in and night out? We don't know the answers to that question. The only thing that we do know currently is from the head coach himself that he is shooting almost 42% from deep in 5-on-5 action. Any doubters out there that want to question whether or not Mark Pope can turn Jaland Lowe into a stud, and he already was at Pitt, if you can turn him into a stud, an all-SEC type guy, this is not good news for you, unfortunately. It's very good news for us here at Locked On Kentucky. We're going to continue to talk about shooting. I don't think we should be as worried about Kentucky's ability to shoot as we currently are. We're going to get to that. A couple different reasons why here in just a second. Before we do that, though, I want to tell you guys about our friends over at Drip Drop. When I am on top of my hydration, I notice that everything works better. My energy, my mood, my focus, even my skin. But getting enough fluids every day is not always easy. That's why I've loved using Drip Drop. Drip Drop is a doctor-developed and scientifically proven drink for fast hydration. It uses the perfect balance of sodium, electrolytes, and glucose to help your body absorb fluids quickly, delivering 3 times the electrolytes and half the sugar of a leading sports drink. Right now, Drip Drop is offering Locked On listeners 20% off your first order. All you have to do is head to dripdrop.com and use promo code LOCKEDONCollege. I would highly encourage you guys to do so. This is something that I cannot go without just about every single day. I'm a huge get out and walk guy, and whenever I go on a walk, I don't just need water. I need some electrolytes. I need that energy. I need that replenished energy, I guess I should say. I always keep a few packets with me. In fact, on Sunday earlier this week, I was going golfing with some buddies. I brought some, not just for me, but for everybody. The flavors are incredible. I'm a sucker for grape, as you all know. You should go and get Drip Drop. Would highly encourage you if you want to be more active, if you aren't already, and even if you already are, this is the perfect electrolyte mix for you. Again, Drip Drop is offering Locked On listeners 20% off their first order. Just head to dripdrop.com, use promo code LOCKEDONCollege, dripdrop.com, promo code LOCKEDONCollege for 20% off. Stock up now before the heat hits hard. All right, continuing along here on the Monday edition of Locked On Kentucky, Lance Dawe hanging out here with you. Pause for one. Because all that talk about hydration does, in fact, make your boy thirsty. Before we continue along, I just want to throw something out there real quick. The other day, I was thinking about just this show as a whole, right? and before I say anything, nothing's going to change. We're going to still continue to be doing as much work as we can here covering Kentucky basketball here at Locked On Kentucky. Love talking about all things blue and white here on the show. I was just reflecting, thinking about starting this all the way back in 2021, just not having any sort of expectations for it and just seeing it grow, watching Locked On grow. And sometimes you take for granted kind of what you've not necessarily anything I've accomplished. It's mostly everyone around me kind of taking me to the point where I'm at, and especially you guys, because you're the ones watching. It's hard to wrap my mind around sometimes that there are over 17,000 people subscribed to this channel. That can get lost sometimes when I'm doing this, is that there are literally thousands of people that tune in every day to watch a show where I talk about college basketball. It's kind of crazy, and it's just after reflecting on it recently, I just want to reiterate thank you to you guys. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. If you're on podcast, if you're on YouTube, wherever it is you are at, I really do appreciate it. I really do. Getting to do this is incredible. I get to talk about something I love, and I get to do it for a job. It's incredible. It's absolutely amazing. We talked about Jaland Lowe shooting 42% from three. This would almost single-handedly dramatically alter, I think, my view about Kentucky's offense this season. Because if you got a dude who is handling the rock so much, shooting 42% from deep, gentlemen, your offense is going to go boom. I mean, he's already one of the better assist men in the country. He had, a 31% assist rate last season? And by the way, something that doesn't get talked about enough, we've seen Jaland Lowe shoot this well consistently already. We've already seen it. He shot 41% from deep during conference play as a freshman. 41%, 25 of 61. He's proven that he can shoot the ball. He had an injured finger last season. He was hurt. Of course he couldn't shoot as well. He was asked to do so much for that Pitt team. I think he's in a better spot here. Just single-handedly, him shooting better, I think, makes me less worried about what Kentucky shooting will be this season. But also, I don't know if you saw it, Kam Williams was working out with Steph Curry. I believe it was at one of his camps, if I'm not mistaken. This was all over social media. It was all over Twitter. It was all over Instagram. I actually put out a tweet saying that this is a sign Kentucky's got the best shooter in the SEC. Now, logically, that doesn't make much sense. How can it work out with one of the best shooters of all time? I mean, you have one of the best shooters in the league, or the best shooter in the league, I guess I should say. But spiritually, I think I'm right on this. As a freshman at Tulane at 6'8", Kam Williams shot 41.2% from deep on almost 5 attempts per game, right? And it was pretty consistent. Obviously, he was shooting more and making more in non-conference play. It was a little bit more difficult as things waded into AAC play. But he had that huge game against UAB late in the year where he made 6 triples, 6 of 8 from deep. He is proven already as a freshman that he can spray it, right? My assumption, going to go out on a limb here and say, if you are able to produce at that level as a freshman, and you come to a place like Kentucky, where you're going to be coached by a guy like Mark Pope, and we know what his offense is capable of doing from beyond the arc. On top of this, you get to spend an afternoon with the greatest shooter to ever touch a basketball. My guess is that you are going to be able to take some things from what you learned with Steph Curry, even if it was 30 minutes, even if it was barely anything. You have to be able to take something from that workout. But even without that, Kam Williams should be able to be a huge part of what this offense does from beyond the arc. I mean, a huge part. We may not be talking about him enough. And even if he shoots 37% from deep, Jaland Lowe shoots 35% from deep. Dawe shoots 36% again. That's still slightly above the national average. And I want to remind some of you, I think I've talked about this a couple of times in the show already. Florida won the national championship shooting 35.6% from deep. That was 82nd nationally. In conference play, they shot 35.8%, and they were 6th in the league there. If you can get more production rebounding the ball, you can get more stops on defense. Guys like Kam, guys like Jalen are going to take your offense a long way, even if they are not shooting at the level that last year's team was. And last year's team was constructed to do just that. That's the only thing that those kids could do or were asked to do. Kobe Brea, Ainsley Almanor, Jackson Robinson, right? All of those different guys, they were asked to shoot the daylights out of the ball. This team's going to look a little different, but I'm not so worried if Jalen is actually shooting that well now that he's healthy and is in a better environment. If guys like Denzel Aberdeen are going to be put in more efficient opportunities where he's going to be more of a spot-up scorer than somebody that's playing an ISO ball or trying to shoot off the dribble as much as he did a season ago, right? Also, something that we may not be talking about enough as well is Jasper Johnson going to be a huge part of this offense. Mark Pope talked about it with Norlander as well, saying that this is a guy that could go for 12 in 2.5 minutes. He is that insane of a scorer. He is a legitimate threat. There are some Rob Dillingham comps that are being thrown out. Watch that space. I'll just say that. Watch that. If Jasper in year one is 75% of what Rob Dillingham was, that may be the most valuable piece coming off the bench. And if he returns for 2026, may be the most valuable player on the team. I mean, the sky would be the freaking limit in that case. But we know Jasper's a good three-point shooter. We know he's a good scorer. Kam, Jalen, Jasper, Colin Chandler, Trent. No, we've got enough pieces off the bench and in this rotation period to make noise from beyond the arc. Even if guys like Otega Owe, Denzel Aberdeen, if they struggle from the wing, Andrija Jelavic, if Diabate takes a dip in efficiency on his low volume shooting, right? We're still going to be fine. We've got enough pieces here to be an average or above average shooting team. There's no reason to head into this year thinking that Kentucky's just going to suck shooting the basketball. They should be good enough to be extremely competitive in SEC play. We just saw a team win a title with an average three-point shooting team. It's not all about how often you can knock it in the hole. It's mostly about, right now, in my opinion, how many times can you give yourself the opportunity to knock it in the hole? Volume over insane efficiency. If you can be above average efficiency or average efficiency with more volume, give yourself more possessions, take them away from the opponent. That's all I'm after. At the very least, if you are not hitting shots at an insane efficiency as Kentucky was a season ago, if you're giving yourself more possessions, at the very least, what you're doing is taking time away from your opponent. At the very least, you're just giving them less opportunity to work with. You're giving them less time, right? Cam's going to be good. Jalen's going to be good. Jasper's going to be good. I think Owe's going to be improved shooting the ball. How much? I don't think it's going to be insane, but I think it's going to be good enough. Kentucky's going to be good. They're going to be okay shooting the ball. Let's wrap up the show talking about two very, very positive things here for Kentucky. JQ, Jelavic, big stuff. Before we get into it, though, tell you guys about our friends over at Game Time. Have you ever decided at the last minute that a ball game just needs to be gone to? You want to head to an MLB game. You want to head to an NBA game. It's a Saturday in October, and you want to go pull up to a college football game 45 minutes outside of where you live with friends or family. Maybe it's game day, and you suddenly realize, I want to be in the stands no matter where it is. Well, that's exactly where Game Time comes in. It's the easiest way to grab last-minute tickets without the stress. With the money you save on tickets, you can splurge on food, drinks, merch, or even invite a bigger group to come with you. Game Time makes it all possible. They make buying tickets fast and simple, and prices on the app actually drop the closer you get to the first pitch. They've got incredible last-minute deals, clear seat views, and a lowest price guarantee that takes the worry out of buying. You can take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time by downloading the Game Time app, creating an account, and using code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONCollege, LOCKEDONCOLLEGE, for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. All right, wrapping up the Monday edition of Locked On Kentucky. Lance Dawe hanging out here with you. We'll pause again for water because I am simply a thirsty boy. There is no debating that. All right, so we've talked about Jalen, we've talked about Kam, we've talked about Jasper. Let's talk about JQ in the lab. I'm going to beat this one to death. I know I talked about the Lamont Butler thing. We're not going to go into that a ton, right, from here on out. But what I am going to talk about a lot is my opinion on Jayden Quaintance. I don't know if the staff is trying to keep this under wraps. I don't know if they're trying to kind of temper expectations and surprise people. I don't know if they're genuinely concerned and trying to play this out as carefully as they can. But like I said at the beginning of the show, all I know here is what I'm seeing. And what I'm seeing out of Jaland Lowe is 42% from deep, right? According to our coach. And what I'm seeing from JQ is that he looks great. He looks incredibly healthy. His leg looks fine. He's been posting these videos, working out, getting in the lab, right? Jumping up and down on boxes, doing the march up and down the gym floor, and there have been some really funny tweets about that. His leg looks perfectly fine. He, just based on what we're seeing, should definitely be ready by game one. He should definitely be ready to play by the time Kentucky faces Louisville. And I don't know if it's this staff saying, okay, we know what we've got here. Let's not oversell this to the fan base. Let's not try and overhype it in case something goes wrong. Or maybe they do know. Yeah, we're going to have him back mid-October, like ready to roll mid-October. I don't know what their plan is or how they genuinely feel about this, but based on what my eyes are telling me, this is a great situation for UK. This is a great situation for JQ. Because he looks ready to go out there and be insane on defense for 30 minutes. He looks ready to be special. He looks ready to be a defensive player of the year already. I'm in. Let's go. I'm here for it. He doesn't look like a guy that's trying to rehab an ACL tear. And speaking of the front court, finally, I want to reiterate something I said recently on the show. Thank you, University of Kentucky, for making this happen. Quickly, I might add. Already, almost said Jayden Quaintance again. Jelavic is here. Andrija Jelavic has arrived. The 6'11" mega basket phenom. He's here. We have in our front court Jayden Quaintance, Brandon Garrison, Reese Potter, Malachi Marino, Andrija Jelavic, Mohamed Diabate. All things considered, it's pretty freaking good. And with a 6'11" guy, Croatian, that can handle the ball and shoot it very well for his size. And also, as Brandon Ramsey pointed out on Twitter recently, has a pretty good set of post moves that he can go to. He's a unicorn, man. You pair him up with JQ, there's no telling what this kid could be as far as what his ceiling is in college ball. This is a great pickup. I think it's an underrated one. 24/7 Sports has him rated as like a 4-star, I think, and like a 3-star in their composite, despite them being the only ones that have like rated. It doesn't make sense. But anyway, underrated addition quietly makes his way to Lexington. Does Andrija Jelavic. Watch this space. Whenever practice gets back, I'm sure we're going to see some highlights. And maybe we overreact to him. Maybe we have fun with that. I don't know. But it's hard not to get excited about what Kentucky's got there at the 4 and the 5. They should be insane. They should be really, really good, guys. At a lot of different things. It's a versatile group, right? You've got defense. You've got rebounding. You've got shooting. You've got length. You've got smaller guys that are quicker, that can handle the ball more. A lot of different things to like here from Kentucky at power forward and center. And I'm so glad that Jelavic is here to be a part of it. All right, that's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Kentucky. You can follow the show on Twitter at Locked On UK. Follow me on Twitter at @LanceDawe_. Follow the show over on Instagram. That is at Kentucky Podcast. Any questions, comments, concerns, leave those in the YouTube comments below. Hit me on the socials. I will see you all tomorrow for another episode of Locked On Kentucky. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and God bless.